One of the Maple Leafs' most notable prospects is shocking everyone, putting together an incredible season and setting Leafs franchise records. Another one of the Leafs prospects' season has just finished, and he will be joining the Marlies to take the next step in his development. And another Leafs prospect has overcome a bout of adversity to put together a pretty incredible season considering what he's had to go through. All of that and more in this episode of Leafs Digest. Guys, welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues, and we've noticed that about 80% of you are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to do yourself a favor and stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs, hit that subscribe button because the playoffs are right around the corner. And not only will we have all the news on the playoffs and breaking down the games, we'll have all the Leafs news, including prospect updates like this and anything else that happens. It's going to be a very exciting time. The Leafs are almost in the playoffs, but we're not going to get into that quite yet. We're going to get into some prospect news and what's new with some of the Leafs prospects and, not their most notable ones necessarily. Well, one for sure we'll get into later in the video. But we're not going to get into the Easton Cowans and Fraser Minton. We've been talking about them all year. We got to shed some light on some other prospects. And obviously, we're going to get into the Hildebeest, Dennis Hildeby. But without further ado, let's get into it. Hirvonen suffered an eye injury in October, for those who don't remember, and he didn't know if he'd ever play pro hockey again. He says, of course, there was doubt until he tried to play on the ice again. And he's had a difficult year. I mean, he got hurt in training camp. A lot of people forget about that. He ended up coming back in around January, and now he's getting back into the mix, of course, now. And he's put together a pretty decent season considering, and some great quotes from some of his teammates as well, including Topi Niemela, who's also one of the Leafs' most notable prospects with the Marlies, a great defenseman, and great praise from his coach as well. I mean, you can go through this and pause it and read it if you'd like, but he's been through so much. He's such a special young man. Whether things are good or bad, he is just the same person. That says a lot about him and what he is as a human being, says the Marlies coach, John Gruden. And I mean, that is great to hear in terms of Leafs prospects. The right mindset, bringing it to that, and the fact that he didn't even know if he was going to play pro hockey again, that's pretty incredible stuff. And I think that mindset is really important for the Leafs down the stretch here, and as they continue to usher in, newer players, because of course, like the old guard now is guys like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and stuff like that. They are having to, usher in new younger players. So this is really good to see this type of mindset. And again, he had to overcome a lot of adversity this year, and he's put in a pretty decent season considering. I mean, 10 points in 31 games with the Marlies so far this season. He was playing in the Liga, of course, before that. And again, another nice little center prospect the Leafs have here developing here in the Marlies, second-round draft pick just 4 seasons ago. And we'll see how his development goes. But again, putting together, it's difficult to play in the AHL. A lot of people don't appreciate that. Even for a goaltender, center, whatever, defense, it is hard to score at the AHL level, which is why I was making a big point of why Bobby McMahon, his story is so incredible, because it's hard to score and figure it out at each level. And Bobby McMahon looks like he's doing exactly that, as an example. So it's hard to play in the AHL. It's hard to score. It's a really tough league because you got a mix of all different types of players, prospects, older guys, tough guys, all that stuff. So nice to see him developing quite nicely. And obviously with that scare earlier in the season, nice to see him on the ice in general. So hopefully he can continue what he's doing with the Marlies. That would be fantastic. And to move along from that, Noah Chadwick, who just got eliminated from his WHL playoffs with Lethbridge. They were swept 4-0 in their first-round series in the WHL playoffs. Let me tell you, the junior leagues, they are ruthless. If you are not in the top 4 seeds, unless you had some injuries or something, they are ruthless. You're probably getting swept, or maybe it's 5 games. Absolutely ruthless in the junior leagues because of the skill split, I guess. Most teams have most of the skilled players NHL prospects, or they just trade and go for it. But anyway, what he said about his game is he just thinks it's confidence-wise, the mental side. I think I took a step. He said that's what he led to his offensive output this year. I think a lot of work on my offensive game and skills in the summer. I think that was the biggest piece. And again, he's going to have a lot of time now to work with the Toronto Marlies, because he skated with the Toronto Marlies this past Tuesday inside Coca-Cola Coliseum. He's been called up to the Marlies. He had 56 points this season in 66 games in the WHL. So pretty good offensive output as well. And he's only going to get better. He's only going to develop more with the Marlies. And obviously he's going to do whatever he does during this summer, his training regimen, all that stuff. So he's only going to get better. And that's another notable Leafs prospect, not only for the team, maybe he can make the team in a few years' time, but he could also be a trade chip perhaps next season, the season after that, for a pretty big deal if he continues to develop into a big player. But obviously, or a big impact player. But obviously, if he's maybe on a Matthew Nyes level, maybe you don't look at trading him. Maybe you want to keep a player like that and develop him for the team. That'd be really nice as well. And to move on from him, the Hildebeest, Dennis Hildeby, 20 wins. It's a franchise record for the Toronto Marlies for wins in a single season by a rookie goaltender, and it was last held by Justin Pogge, who had 19 wins during his rookie season in 2006-07. Hildeby has 20 wins in 38 games this season while posting a .911 save percentage, the 6th best among the league's rookie goaltenders, and there are some pretty good goaltenders in the AHL, especially rookie goaltenders as well. And Hildebeest putting in a great effort so far this season. Could he be the next starting goaltender for the Leafs? I mean, the Leafs have had goaltending troubles. They really, since Frederik Andersen, and even then Frederik Andersen in the playoffs, that is a whole different video. But they haven't really been able to figure out the goaltending position, especially homegrown, developed through the system. They haven't been able to figure that out. And Hildeby looks like he could be the guy. Maybe not next year, maybe not even the year after that, but heading into this guy's still young, and heading into the future, I think, the sky's the limit for him. And, the Marlies coach as well said it's a lot to ask from a rookie goaltender. He's answered the bell. He likes the moment. He was obviously outstanding for us tonight, which was a couple nights ago. He's put in great performances. And all of this, by the way, from Nick Barton, who's covered the Marlies for years now. Everything Marlies, go check him out. He has some great content and great pieces on all the prospects, Leafs prospects and stuff like that. And, from Hildeby as well, he thinks that his game has been inconsistent, especially the last month or two. And if you call that inconsistent, then I think once you find your consistent game, Leaf fans are going to be very happy with that, because he's put together a pretty good season. The stats speak for themselves. And a .911, I mean, that's above NHL average. And to do it in the AHL, again, like I said, it's a little bit harder to score in the AHL. And there are different intangibles down there. But he's put together a very good season. I think there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Leafs fan with Dennis Hildeby. And if you look this year, again, at his stats, 20, 11, and 6. He has a .911 save percentage. And it's more of a team stat, but a goals against average of .245, which is not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, again, I say it's more of a team stat, the goals against average, but his stat line is fantastic and much improved. Well, I mean, you can't really compare other leagues that he's played in to the AHL. It's just a completely different game. But again, putting in very good stats, 38 games played. And he's getting some good reps in the AHL too. I think that's really important. He's actually playing. And it's not like, these stats are skewed because he's played only 9 games or something like that. No, he's put in a very good sample size so far this season. And I'm excited to see what he can do with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So let me know in the comments what you think of some of the Leafs prospects. Obviously, we know where Fraser Minten and Easton Cowan stand. Some very, very good players. And could Dennis Hildeby potentially be the Leafs starter heading into the future? The goaltending position, there's a huge question mark on it still. We don't exactly know if Joseph Woll will find it again this season. Maybe he could find it again next season. He's had a rocky season since he came back from his injury, and who knows what happens with Ilya Samsonov. He's been playing fantastic, but there is a contract to negotiate as well, so that'll be very interesting to keep an eye on. Could Dennis Hildeby be the next Toronto Maple Leafs starter? Let me know what you think in the comments, and Nick and I will see you for another video tomorrow.